Okay, Shalom Aleichem, this is video 7. So, the Christ consciousness has arrived. Okay, it is here. The Antichrist is here. All things are aligned. Antichrist consciousness is at the south node. Don't follow that bullshit, that chaos, okay? Follow the legacy. Michael Jackson became a Muslim, okay? A Muslim means believer. Believer in the divine, the divine consciousness of Prophet Abraham, okay? And Prophet Abraham labeled, named those who would follow him Muslims, which means believers in Allah. Christians and Jews in the Holy Land all worship Allah. Christians and Jews in the Holy Land worship Allah. You need to check this out for yourself. Okay? Check it out for yourself. The Christ consciousness has arrived. Okay? Now, so, South Node negative alter reality is purely a Nazi Antichrist unconsciousness. Antichrist consciousness is a unconsciousness, is a jinn consciousness of hate for all humanity. Whether you range, your culture extends from Europe all the way back to Africa. Okay? You are of the human family and you are hated by the Antichrist. As long as you are a seed of Adam, you are hated by the Antichrist because he hates you. He's jealous because you have divine spiritual powers. You have a soul by which you can connect to Allah to guide you and to aid in maintaining humanity. And you can go to Jannah, which means heaven. Okay? Which he is destined, the Antichrist is destined for hell, or for the fire, right? For Jahannam, the fire. Okay, so, and he persists in creating violence, fragmenting humanity. He persists in being incompassionate, mob mentality, stirring violence, as we stated. It is, as stated, is an ideology of hate, an ideology of hate, because it's not ideal. It's an ideology of hate, and okay, and it's being rejected all across the world. Humanity is standing as one united family, as they should, under one legacy, under one family, one global Jackson pride, one divine royal purple rainbow kingdom 52, following one legacy to the Christ consciousness. Okay, the legacy of the king who went in, who became a Muslim, right? Okay, no need to fear. Check it out. The terrorists are the Wahhabis. The Wahhabis were established by is a kingdom established by the Rothschild Zionists, and they do the bidding of the Rothschild Zionists. That's why the Saudis, the Wahhabis, have united with the Zionists that occupy Palestine to destroy the world under the guise of Islam. Just like Hitler killed Jews, okay, and set up the Zionist occupation of Palestine under the guise of Judaism. The Zionists are not Jews. Jews are Jews are okay. Christians, as I said before, Christians are Jews, and Jews are the descendants of Isaac. Muslims are the descendant of let's say the Arabs are the descendant of Jews are Hebrews. Jews are Hebrews. Okay, they are Hebrews, and the Hebrews are descendant of Prophet Isaac. The Arabs are descendants of Prophet Ishmael and Hajar. Ishmael and the Egyptians. Okay, so they are brothers, just like Isaac and Ishmael. Those who consider themselves Christians are of the spirituality of Jews. Okay? They are the Hebrew spirituality. They are the Hebrew spirituality of Judaism. So there are really no Christians. There are only Jews and Hebrews. Hebrews are Jews. There's only Judaism and Islam. And Judaism and Islam are one of the same father, Prophet Abraham. Okay? They have different mothers. Sarah is Isaac's mother. Hajar is Ishmael's mother, the oldest son of Prophet Abraham. Okay? Or Arab Ham, right? Which is a descendant of Noah. Or which is a descendant of Ham, right? Which is a descendant of the Ethiopians, which is a descendant of, which represents Cush, which represents Nimrod, who is their father, Nimrod is a son of Cush. The son of Cush is a son of the Ethiopians. The son of the Hebrews that were enslaved in America are the descendants of the Ethiopians. They are descendants of Cush, the descendants of Ethiopians, as I stated. Okay, so the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, and the Arabs are one. So if you are a Christian, you must consider yourself a Jew. Okay? You must consider and you must unite with your Muslim brothers to save yourselves and the world. Jews are not Zionists. Okay? Jews are not Zionists. And Jews are all over the world. Just like the Hebrews are all over the Hebrews are all over the world, right? Okay. So, humanity must stand as one umbrella, one kingdom, okay? And follow the legacy, right? Okay. So, all right. So, now, so universal consciousness is reset. It is what is going on, and the Antichrist is losing his power, because if he tries to go in Africa, and Africa that's why he wants to go in Africa and depopulate it. He can't go into Africa without depopulating it, because he will have nowhere else to go. All the rest of the world will be in, when the pole shift happens, the rest of the world, Europe and America, is going to suffer devastated. And another thing you got to worry about too, Yellowstone, that volcano in Yellowstone. It is stated if that volcano in Yellowstone goes off, much of America will be destroyed. So the time for racism to end and spiritual warfare is to end, regardless of a person, a Buddhist, a Hindu, or what have you. The world is going to go through so much chaos. There's no time for religious wars and all this kind of stuff. It's just humanity must unite, regardless of your culture, regardless of your celestial spiritual beliefs. Okay? There's only one universe and one creator who created it. Okay? One. Okay? So we got to look out for the survival of humanity. Okay? And forget about all that other stuff. Okay, so now, and the Antichrist is losing ground fast. Okay, the Vatican is losing ground fast. Its supporter, Jazaza, Pence, Wahhabi, Drumpf. They are not the messengers or the leaders of the divine consciousness, that Christ consciousness. They are not the leaders of the reset, conscious reset. Okay, the reset of the consciousness. They are not the leaders, as they try to propagate in their videos, okay, or in their, those so-called leadership and making America great again bullshit, or making France great again, or whatever bullshit they promote. They're not. Humanity must unite, okay. And while the events expressed in, by most of his followers about the Rothschilds and the taking over the markets and all this is true. Yeah, the corruption in the government, that is true. Okay, but they are not. Trump is not the one to correct it. I mean, because you got to remember, if you're going to control the corporate, if you're going to be the president of the corporate world, okay, the corporate culture, you got to be of that ideology. So how can the Trump be of that ideology And in the same time, supposedly he's for the poor people, when the poor people are the ones who are persecuted by the ideology and the practices of the fascism and the corporate culture of death. How can he change that when he's the president of it? He's the head of it. Why? He's not going to change it. It's a fluke. He's bamboozling the people. Okay, it's a game. Okay, now. Okay, so the Antichrist, the German Nazi Vatican, and its Antichrist agent Joseph Wahhabi Pence Drumpf, and their regime, they're no more than a regime of pimps and whores trying to pimp humanity, and they are currently and historically directly responsible for the insane past and criminal events they enacted upon all humanity. So, and they're also responsible for the current crimes that are happening throughout, Africa and Honduras, in America, throughout the world, right? So they're crimes against humanity. They're continuously responsible for that. So do not be deceived and ensnared in South Node Nazi negative fatal unconsciousness, alter ego negative consciousness, alter state negative jinn consciousness. Do not be deceived, humanity. It is the Antichrist culture of certain death. 10 times out of 10, the Antichrist supporter Joseph Pence, Nazi Wahhabi Drumpf, has his own followers deceived. He has them deceived into thinking he is going to save them, okay, from his own, Nazi, from his own Zionist party, from his own Zionism, right? His own narcissistic Zionism. So he's got his evangelical supporters deceived into supporting him, just like he wants to deceive the Hebrews born in America, just like he wants to deceive the Africans under his African Prosperous program. He's trying to deceive the world, right? And he's trying to deceive them that he pulled out of Syria. He defeated ISIS, and ISIS is totally gone under him. Under his 2 years, he defeated ISIS. He's doing what Obama couldn't do, constantly trying to feed them Obama by saying, "See, I don't like what you like. I don't like Obama. So if I keep constantly remind you of how much I don't like Obama, then you'll know I'm not for black people. I'm not for Hebrew people, right? I'm with you Nazis, right? It's all a game." Just like he's trying to fool the African people, as I said, under the HR 1242 Emmett Till ghetto renovation program, right? Prison reform program. It's all a game. It's all lies, right? Okay, so, he hasn't deceived into thinking he is going to save them. Okay, he's going to save them. Okay. Now. So, remember, humanity, do not be deceived by any form of media, okay? Do not be deceived by the media, okay? Even though they say, oh, Syria's not, ISIS is not defeated, we should keep the military in. Much of the media is talking about keeping the military in Syria, and that ISIS is not defeated. Well, ISIS is defeated if America says they're defeated, because America's the one who created them, right? So if America says they're defeated, then America's basically saying, we're telling you to stop. And that's why they're going against MBS, which it means Salman Saud's son, okay, MBS. They call him the Wahhabi Crown Prince of the British Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So they told him to pull back on the war in Yemen, because he's making the Vatican, the Wahhabis, not the Vatican, he's making the Vatican, the Drumpf, and all these Western nations that support, the Zionists look bad, because most of the world is saying, well, look what the Wahhabis are doing. They're the criminals. They're the terrorists. They're the ones who killing up people. Look what they done to Khashoggi, or whatever I think his name is Khashoggi, or whatever his name is. But and look what they're doing in Yemen. So he's making them look bad. So they try and tell him, he's not to try and tell him to act below the radar, but he's not doing it. So basically, they're, as I said, they're pulling back on him. Pulling back on supporting him, but they're trying to realign with the African countries, right, to get their support to be their mercenary fighters, and pulling back on the Wahhabis, right? The media is trying to tell them to stay in, to support, to continue to fight in Syria, because the media wants to support the Zionists, right? So you got to watch out for the media, just like Malcolm X said. Malik El-Shabazz said, who Malcolm X was changed his name to Malik El-Shabazz, right? So Malik El-Shabazz says the media can make the innocent look guilty, and those who are guilty look innocent. So you got to watch the media. Don't follow the crap. There's a lot of talking heads out there putting their negative spin on things to try to make it look positive. Don't believe them. Don't buy into the chaotic bullshit. Go to Higher Ground North Node, and don't get involved in Yellow Jacket. Don't get involved in the violence that's been placed inside the Yellow Jackets. Okay. Now I won't say all the Yellow Jacket movement is bad, but the insurgence of violence in the Yellow Jacket movement is bad. Cannot destroy property, cannot kill people, you got to remain, the best weapon you have is unity, and continuing to construct, to network among yourselves, boycott these corporations, and start your own businesses to generate your own income, and get away from supporting multinationals, and you will defeat them. You don't need to kill anybody. You don't need to go to war. You don't need to destroy property. You don't need to do any of that. You need to take care of yourselves and stay united. Stay aware, stay awake, and continue to pilgrimage toward the North Node, the direction of the North Node, home consciousness of Christ consciousness. Okay? Let them fight themselves. That's not your business. But don't get involved. You'll be hard pressed to keep your heart stable, your emotions stable, right? You don't want to listen to them staying in Syria. Getting out of Syria is a good thing. Getting out of Afghanistan is a good thing. But they must get out completely and let the people live in peace, and let the Syrians that were migrated out of Syria return home, so that people can have their but the best thing to do, rather than trying to kick the Syrians out of Europe and all this kind of stuff that migrate, you might want to make friends with them, and so that when the pole shift happens, you'll have some place to go. Because in the pole shift, Europe is going to be very devastated. America's going to be devastated. And if you're having all these Nazi fascist ideologies, who are you going to turn to when your land is destroyed? You're going to be trying to migrate back to them. That's why, back to the motherland. That is why they're having all those wars back in the motherland, to try to get the people to migrate out to the parts of the West, to Europe, and to Europe that is going to be devastated during a pole shift, so that they can try to take the natives, the motherland, so that they will be safe, because the motherland is Africa is stated to be one of the safest places to be during that time. So they want to be there. The Zionists want to be there. But if they make enemies with your fellow man who are native to the motherland, then where in the hell are you going to go? Where's your children going to go? So you need to make peace with your brother in the motherland. Okay? Not to act fascist and call British first, because what's Britain going to do when their land is destroyed? They're going to want to try to go to Africa. They're going to try to go to Australia. So you better forget about all that Nazi crap and stand under one umbrella. Okay? Don't be trying to support the Antichrist. He don't give a damn about you. Shit. Is he telling you about the pole shift? Is he preparing for that? No. He ain't preparing for none of that. He's telling you, kill your brother. Look at the Hondurans. They're a bunch of criminals. Not telling you they're interfering with their elections. They ain't doing none of that. Okay? Just trying to teach you to hate and warmonger. Don't listen to the media when they tell you to go back and stay in Syria. Hell no. The Turkish government has warned America, get out of, get out of the way of supporting the Kurds. The Kurdish rebels, so that the American soldiers don't get killed. They're trying to tell the Americans, the Trump regime, to get the soldiers out so they don't get hurt. But the media is trying to tell you, keep the soldiers in so they get hurt. That don't make no damn sense. Okay, so I know this is a lot of ground to cover, but hey, this is the winter solstice. At this point, a lot of download of information, right, before we enter the new the new celestial year, right? This is the download before we enter the new celestial year, to cut out all the bullshit that's been going on throughout the years, so we can enter this new celestial year at the spring equinox pure, right? So heed this information, right? Okay. And now follow your royal ancestors home to the Christ consciousness, as stated in the Bible and in the Quran and the Old Testament. A Hebrew child shall lead them in the new year, in the new 24,000 celestial New Year cycle. Follow the Jackson Global Pride, a purple royal Kingdom 52, guiding humanities, whose ancestors are guiding humanity toward the North Node and far above the North Star crown of the Mother Galaxy, Milky Way Galaxy, in the direction of the divine black, which is the divine black, it's guiding humanity far above the North Star crown in the direction of the divine black Mother Milky Way Galaxy, right? And guiding them to the Father consciousness, the Christ consciousness, okay? So humanity can return home to its right mind, have whole brain consciousness, right and left brain thinking, right? Tangible consciousness and intangible consciousness, right? The veil will be removed so that they can see or comprehend that which is hiding, concealed behind a veil of dream time, right? Hidden in time, as time or as the universe is folded over. They will be able to consciously perceive what is behind that veil, trying to whisper ill-gotten consciousness into their mind telepathically, and making them think that they are crazy, they're possessed, they are demonic, they're wicked, when in reality is that those jinn creatures that are hiding in a consciousness, or veiled behind a consciousness that you cannot see, right? Because they are in an intangible dimension of space-time, right? They're in the same place, but not the same time, right? They're in the same place, but not the same time zone. So because they're not in the same time zone, they are intangible for you to physically see, right? So you got to know, okay? You got to be able to perceive what is going on, okay? So, I got to do that later. So, salam alaikum. Okay? Salam alaikum.